Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time to do some unboxing. We've got a couple of good stories tonight. So this one is actually part of my new Guitar Day / forwarding service. Somebody saw something in Japan that they just had to have, but they weren't comfortable ordering it themselves, so I'm helping them out. You can learn more information on that service on my website, but let's go ahead and get this thing out, because I think you guys might like to check out what's inside this Taylor case. However, before we do that, this is hilarious. They turned a Gibson box inside out. Honestly, it wasn't packed the best, so I hope everything's okay in this case. Inside here sleeps a beautiful acoustic model. However, it's not just a regular acoustic model. It actually has nylon strings, so technically, this is a classical guitar. And yeah, you can definitely tell that by looking at our headstock there too. I don't think I've ever had a classical guitar that looks like this, but you can check out my own classical guitar in this episode right here, where I very convincingly use green screen to make people think I have a fancy house. But this just looks like a regular acoustic guitar, except for we've got a nice little comfort cut right here, so you don't have a hard edge like you have back here that you normally have on these guitars. So, oh wow, that's really comfy. I like that. I haven't had an acoustic model like that before. I don't know if it changes the sound or not, but it definitely enhances comfort. And hey, we get some sort of a figured wood right there. However, this isn't like a full gloss finish, it's kind of satin-like, so that doesn't really bode well for showing you like crazy figuring. Those tuners are pretty cool too. They're like Ivoroid. They kind of remind me of the creamy Lifesavers, you know, the hard candy over here. We've got a cool mother of pearl rosette here, but let's check out the back. Nice. Got all your basic wood grain back here, but look at this. We actually have a flamed maple binding on this thing. That's cool. And of course, we even get a heel cap back here. I really like Taylor guitars. It looks like we've got an ebony fretboard on this one. Overall, a very cool choice. I'm glad we got to check it out for a little bit. Now let's send it where it's going. But before we continue unboxing guitars today, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Sweetwater. Sweetwater, the best place to buy brand new gear. You can get cables, you can get guitars, you can get band orchestra instruments. Anything you need, they're gonna take care of ya. My favorite part about them being a guitar player and a reviewer is I can actually see what example that I'm going to get. So you could pick a special serial number, a special top, either flamed or plain, or maybe you want a certain weight. If you're gonna buy a guitar online, I highly suggest checking those guys out. But they also do monthly giveaways that you can enter by clicking that link in the description. All right, thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring tonight's unboxing episode. Let's get back to the guitars. All right, so our next guitar here, I'm actually really excited to unbox this guitar. For the fourth time, mind you, but I think you guys are gonna enjoy this just as much. So, we all know the Gibson Theodore. We've all been anxiously awaiting either a Gibson USA release of it, or maybe they do the next archive collection guitar. We kind of talked about that in this episode. But for some strange reason, the Music Zoo, out of nowhere, got another batch of these. And at first I thought maybe it was a mistake, because that happened to me once buying from Music Zoo. It was a pretty cool Les Paul custom, but what had happened is their system just accidentally started listing old things again. So I was fully expecting this to be the same thing, so I actually messaged them to see, you know, is this actually in stock, or are we just getting each other's hopes up here? But no, apparently they did. They got like 3 or 4 more out of somewhere. I just don't know. So I made him an offer on this bad boy. So now, guess what? I have a complete collection of Gibson Theodores. So this is the ebony one that I kept talking smack about in my reviews and demos, saying it's not as cool as natural, maybe not even as cool as the wine reds, but I wanted to see it in person because it kind of started to grow on me. Sure, you don't get to see the cool alder wood grain, but it kind of helps you accentuate the age knobs that they put on here. And I appreciate the fact that we can still at least see the wood grain for the center stripe. I like it a little bit better, but I think I'm going to still stand by the natural is the most desirable out of these. But it looks like we've got all the good case candy in here, and only time will tell what the values of these things do. The prices went crazy at first. Now they kind of settled around normal. They're kind of falling, but then like the natural ones are still selling for premiums. So if you want one and you want a deal, generally it's the ebony and the wine red. I think once 10 years pass and they like don't do any more of these, this is something that could potentially go up. But I get people asking me all the time, what's the next model that's gonna go up crazy in value, or what model should I invest in? Here's what I tell you guys. Buy something that you like and enjoy. If you're just buying something because you think it's going to go up in value, I mean, that's not worth it. I like the Theodore model. I think it sounded great. It played great. It's got that nice chunky neck, and I like P90 pickups. So having a complete set in my collection makes me happy. So even if these are only worth $2,000 in a couple of years, I'm still going to be happy because they're cool. Might be a little sad I can't get my money back out of them, but these freaky tulip guitars, they're mine. I've got a set. I'm happy. Been a pretty solid episode so far, I would say, but let's check out our small little package here. So this one kind of tails on the past couple of unboxing episodes where I get really silly Gibson memorabilia, and last time one of them got damaged, but thankfully he actually had more than one, so he just offered to send another one to me. It's the lame Gibson thumb drive, 512 megabytes, absolutely worthless in today's technology world, but it's a part of Gibson history. And yes, it looks like this one arrived safely. So there we go. We can add it to our shelf here among all these other useless products that are still kind of cool. Continuing on was a reverb find in the middle of the day. As soon as I saw this, it's like, yes. Finally, one showed back up and I can buy it. Because about 4 or 5 months ago, I had to liquidate some personal collection guitars that I would have rather have not sold to build up the funds of a really expensive $50,000 guitar that I wanted to buy. Unfortunately, he decided not to sell it, after talking to him for like 4 or 5 years about it. It really broke my heart because I was ready. That's dumb money to spend on this particular guitar, but it was going to be a legacy piece. Maybe not this year, who knows? Maybe he'll change his mind later on down the road. But I also had to do some home improvements. So when this showed up, one of those guitars that I had to get rid of, that I could get back, I had to get it. So I made an offer. I was, biting my nails, waiting for the guy to get back to me. I didn't want somebody to pay the asking price and then I just get left out. But thankfully, he countered. It was a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but I was like, whatever. You can't ever find these things. Inside here is a very special Flying V that I'm glad is coming back. It's the Lenny Kravitz Flying V. You can learn all about it in this episode right here, but it's got the cool Lenny right there. We've got our ABR1 bridge. It's got that awesome black sparkle finish. But want to know what's even better about this one than my last one is the fact that it's supposed to be new old stock. Still has the COA even. Awesome. Has this too. A lot of the early 2000s guitars come with these cool care kits that have like the really nice polishing cloth. Even a premium cable too. But the story is, this shop has had this new old stock for such a long time. I don't think it was necessarily on the display floor. It's just something that maybe he held back for his own personal collection. But he said Lenny Kravitz actually signed this when he was playing a show by his shop. I thought it was on the pick guard, but I'm not seeing it here. So maybe it's somewhere. Maybe he signed something else. But this one is supposed to be in, new old stock condition. And so far, yeah, I would say it is looking pretty good here. There's definitely some oxidization going on this strap button though. Wow, I mean, that's not even gold anymore. But I guess the switch washer is looking the exact same way, so it must be this thing just being kept up in its case, the off-gassing or something. But these are awesome Flying Vs, only 125 made. They are extra rare. The only downside on this one is I can actually see like a dip in the finish up here, and you can actually see the seam lines on the headstock if the lighting's just right. My last one didn't have that, but oh well. Oh man, this one even still has some buffing compound in between the finish and the fretboard. I just checked the listing and the signature was there, but they said they had set it up for me. I'm wondering if the tech accidentally removed the signature. What the heck? Because you can see it right there in the photo, and it's the exact same guitar. I verified the serial number. 71, 71, 71. That's a crying shame if that's actually what happened. I was kind of excited about that. I guess I'll just have to entice Lenny to visit my guitar museum one day. I can have him sign it again. But either way, I'm happy to have one of these in my collection again. But that leaves us with one last guitar today. Surprisingly, another personal collection guitar. I mean, lately, there's just been so much cool stuff showing up, and I think it's because there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Not just the guitar market, like the entire world. So people are getting a bit worried. They're selling stuff. So now's a decent time to buy, to be honest. But even if we do see a downturn in the market for whatever reason, eventually it does go back up. And life is short, guys. You might as well own the guitars you actually want. So this is an example of a guitar that I found on Reverb one night. But as I was telling you guys last episode, if you ever see an actual shop listing a guitar on Reverb, a lot of times you can visit their own website, buy directly from them if you feel comfortable doing that. And sometimes it'll at least be 5% cheaper because Reverb's 5% fee. Now, it's not always the case. Sometimes it's just free shipping or you have to contact them. And this was one of those guitars where it's like, I don't want to pay how much they have it on Reverb for, but that $100 off really changes it because it's a relatively inexpensive but rare guitar. Inside here sleeps a guitar I have been waiting to show up for a long time. So this is a Les Paul Vixen. You might say, hey, Trogly, what the heck are you talking about? We've already reviewed and demoed a Vixen. You just unboxed a baby blue one not that long ago. This is like the rarest color of the Vixens. It's a ruby red metallic. And it's the only non-pastel version. All the other colors are like, baby colors, in my opinion. You got your pinks and blues. I mean, this is technically the Katy Perry signature guitar. I mean, this one's not in the best of condition. It's definitely been scratched up pretty badly here. And normally these are like thin eggshell finishes, but this one feels like a semi-gloss, but it feels that way all over the guitar. So I think this one might have just been a little bit more buffed up at the factory, because it's like a ruby red lipstick color. It's got a slight metallic hue to it. So seeing this thing showed up, it's like, yes. I mean, anytime I find one of these, around 900 to 1100, I'm all game for them. I mean, they can sell for a little bit more if you're crazy or if it's like mint condition, but I want a complete set of these, just like I want a complete set of the Goddesses, because they're just unique guitars. I mean, initially, this was the stripped down version of the Goddess. It's like the Les Paul Special as far as the thinner body wrap tail piece, whereas the Goddesses were the full-bodied ones. But they were slightly shrunken down Les Pauls, mainly geared towards women. But they came in such cool colors that just can't help but not love them. So until I find a cleaner one of these, I will just keep this one back in my collection, because it's the first of this finish that I've ever actually seen show up. Starting our packing journey here, we unboxed this one not too long ago. It is number 3 TelePaul. This one did not sit on my website very long. I think it was just a couple of hours before it found its next owner. But I wanted to comment on this one before we packed it up, because in the episode, I was saying, hey, maybe I need to find number 2. But right after this one sold, lo and behold, the very next morning, number 2 shows up. And yeah, all the 3 original ones have been resold at some point. But this one's getting shipped off to California, so at least 2 of them are still in the USA. Now here's a real tough one to say goodbye to. I bought this in December of last year for my personal collection because I had sold my first Scotty Moore, kind of regretted it, bought the next one that showed up, but about 4 months back I had some, home improvement projects I needed to do, so I had listed this. I kind of forgot to take it back down, and then somebody was interested and it's like, okay. Which is kind of funny because that's the same story with the Kravitz fee that we just unboxed today. I'm sure I'll get another one of these eventually. It's going to a great home. He's got a fantastic collection of Everly Brothers, even has a Spotlight Special, so I'll just pick another one of these up in the future. I've got some other projects I've been needing to raise up a little bit of capital on for as well. But the Scotty Moore ES 295, signed by Scotty, as all of them were. Let's get this bad boy packed up. Next to pack, after the Noel Gallagher review, I kind of had a feeling someone would then want one of these Chuck Berries. This is actually going up to Canada. He was at the Gibson garage and he had tried one when these things first came out, but he didn't realize they were limited edition at that point. So he's finally making good on getting one of these things because, yeah, they quickly sold out and became hard to find. It's always cool when Gibson revamps a 70s model, in my opinion. So let's get this one and the hat packed up. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.